Photographers Chronicles, episode 20. Let's go.
Let's create.
What's up, y'all? In today's episode, I want to talk about event photography. Now, I know event photography isn't one of the most exciting things to talk about, but it's definitely something that is a pillar in photography. It's very important to just cover events, not just corporate or business events, but also, family reunions, birthdays, things of that nature. There are a few things that I think that are very important when it comes to not only deciding if you need an event photographer, but also some of the stipulations and requirements when it comes to your event photographer. In order to make a good decision, if you need an event photographer, I think that you need to decide how many people are coming, who's actually going to show up. And once you figure that out, I think it's very important also to figure out, is there like a program? A lot of times when it comes to having an event, there usually is like a program or like a flow of events. Those are very important because you really want to give your photographer something to actually take pictures of. The worst thing you want to do is actually have an event and only 5 people show up. Most photographers charge by the hour. So you definitely want to make sure that you get your money's worth when it comes to choosing a photographer and deciding if you actually need one. Because at the end of the day, they're still going to charge you for their time. Another thing that's very important when it comes to event photography is that you want to make sure that you have your venue already chosen. The reason why that's important because is that the photographer needs to have a good idea of the venue. That way he has a good idea of how he wants to light it up in order to actually give you good quality photos. And what I mean when I say light it up, he has to have a good idea of what equipment he needs to bring in order to illuminate the event this in the best way possible. Another thing that I think is very important when having an event photographer is make sure that your guests know that you're going to have a photographer and they're comfortable having their pictures taken. We all have that one auntie that basically runs away from the camera when it's time to take pictures. And while sometimes it's all fun and games, there are really people who do not want their photos taken. And I think it's very important that you be able to point these people out to the photographer. So we basically won't put them into a very uncomfortable situation. And the last thing that I think is very important when it comes to event photography is you want to maximize what you're getting for your money. And what I mean is this, some people will book a photographer and they may have an event that's scheduled to last 4 hours long, right? So what may happen is that you have the events that's going to happen. So instead of having your photographer there for the whole 4 hours and basically just getting a bunch of monotonous material, you kind of want to center it around when you're actually having your events. Say if there's going to be a toast, if there's going to be a dance, if there's going to be a presentation, things like that. Try to have your photographer in that timetable. So instead of basically having 4 hours, you can actually book them for 2 hours, and that way they get the meat of the program, but they're also getting the photos of the people and interactions and things like that. Oh yeah, I almost forgot one last thing. I think it's also important to understand what the capabilities of your photographer are. And what I mean is this, usually with an event photographer, they are going to be taking photos of people who are, just candid photos, um, group pictures, just, pictures to benchmark that they were there. But in some instances, some people like to have a backdrop set up. So basically it's like a photo section, and the photographer is pretty much meant to man that. Not all photographers include that in their packaging. So you want to make sure that if you're planning on having like a photography section with a backdrop, make sure you let your photographer know that and make sure that it's something that they are willing to do and man. Because the thing is, if you have that but you still want to get pictures of everybody else, that's kind of a two-man job. It is possible to go back and forth, but you just run the risk of losing some very good photos because of the simple fact that you're trying to do all those things at one time. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. I appreciate you guys rocking with me per usual. And as usual, if you have any questions, comments, or things that you would like to ask me about, be sure to put it down in the comments. And if you have any questions or comments that you would like to DM, feel free. Definitely open to entertain all of those. You guys be good.